Islam, 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 and welcome to Moore's Heritage and History School. This is your host, Anna L., along with my co-host, Ms. Ryan Aleph L.
Peace and love, Anna E. Peace and love, Morris. Thankful to be here again tonight. Islam.
Razariah Bay.
Islam, Islam, Islam. Peace and love to all.
And I am looking for Cujo. I'm not sure if he's joining us tonight because he was traveling a bit this weekend. I don't see him. Cujo, if you're in, press 1 on your telephone so I can see you. Alrighty, while I'm waiting for Cujo, I'm trusting that he's calling in on his usual number. While I'm waiting for Cujo, let me continue. Let's see, the chat room. Okay, hold on. I'm getting a message. Alrighty. Well, maybe that's not my phone sending text. Oh, yeah, it is. I'm in the queue. Really? Where? All right, let me find Cujo in the queue. Okay, this number is not showing up. All right. While I'm looking for Cujo in the queue, let me welcome everyone once again to Moore's Heritage and History School, Eyes Wide Open. And the chat room is opening. I'm not sure if it has opened up completely because it looks like it's, okay, maybe we're having a little bit of technical difficulty tonight because I'm not seeing Cujo, but he's in the queue. And the chat room is taking a minute to open up. So let me just take a quick second to find Cujo and fix this queue, fix the, fix the, let's see.
So, yeah, I just got a text from Cujo. He said, he is in the queue. And he said if it's a problem, just carry on. That's what he was saying. And then maybe he could get in.
All right. This is the first time that has ever happened. He's in the queue, but he's not showing up at all as being in the queue. All right, so, let me just continue. We'll figure it out in a moment what's going on here. I didn't get any alerts that Blog Talk is having any issues, so we'll just wait and continue. The chat room is opening, and so for all the internet listeners, you just continue. If you're not able to get into the chat room, you will be able to get into it momentarily. Want to send a big shout out to our Moors listening over in Great Britain, Japan, South Africa, the Netherlands. Albisat, Islam to you. Got to always give a shout out to Albisat. He's the only Moor I know active near the Netherlands, and he's just an inspiration to us all with his studying, continuous studying. So I have to always give a shout out to him. And also Moors listening out in the Philippines and near Mexico, near Venezuela, Brazil, Cuba, and areas we have yet to connect with. Islam, the chat room is open. Thank you so much for listening. Big, big shout out to Moore's List who call in via the telephone every week filling up the line before the show even begins. Big, big shout out to you all. Thank you so much for joining us each week, lending us your energy, and, together help as we uplift form humanity. All right, so what I'm going to do next is make an announcement. The chat room is open, finally. What I'm going to do next is what we do with each broadcast is we make a public announcement of Moors who have been kidnapped literally off of the street and are being held hostage by these various different corporations for income. And we do that in an effort to bring awareness nationally as well as internationally of those Moors who are being kidnapped and held prisoner for income by these various corporations. And what we do is we make an announcement of their free national appellation. If we have the county, city, town, township, borough that actually kidnapped them, we make mention of that. If we don't have it, then we just make mention of the union state that they are in purview of, because all union states are obligated per the American Constitution to protect all people from national and international invasion. So this is an invasion that these union states are obligated to protect the people from. So we start off with our sister Abka Ray, who was kidnapped through a joint venture between Memphis and Shelby Corporation under the purview of Tennessee, Dawood Il under the purview of Arkansas, Amir Moslamin Il and Kusul Ra Kush Bey under the purview of Missouri, Athar Aman Ra Bey under the purview of Ohio, Jeremy Taylor Il, Terry Thorne Bey, J. McCall Brooks Bey, Joseph Kanaday Il, Kush Amir Bunch Il, Emmanuel Billings Bey, Yasin Khalik Alamin Il, and Michael Curry Bey, all kidnapped under the purview of North Carolina. Nova Crisco Il, kidnapped under the purview of New Jersey. Messiah Aziz Il and Crystal Il, kidnapped through a joint venture between Mercer Freehold and Trenton Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. Baby Patricia, Patricia Bay's baby, I believe, is still being held hostage along with Malik Bay by the Atlantic Corporation under the purview of New Jersey. And let's see, Eldridge Teron Fisher Il and Matisse Serion Il, both kidnapped and being held under the purview of Indiana. Solomon Ilbay and Mumi Abu Bey, kidnapped and being held under the purview of Texas. William Barrett Il under the purview of Virginia. Bomani Abidwil Il, kidnapped by Chesapeake Corporation under the purview of Virginia. Che Ray Bay under the purview of West Virginia. Thomas Lee Bay under the purview of California. Victor Eduardo Eguaya Juarez Il, kidnapped by Harlem Corporation under the purview of Georgia. Those are Moors who've been kidnapped and are being held hostage. And if you have a family member or if you know of someone who has been kidnapped and is being held hostage for income and you would like them added to this list, send their free national appellation to MHHS-Eyes Wide Open at gmail.com along with the county, corporation, whose employee kidnapped them, and the union state that they are in purview to. And in the subject line put kidnapped Moor, and we'll add them to the list. All righty, so I think that's all the announcements. first thing, and I'm just I don't know what's going on with this because I don't see Cujo as being in the queue at all, and I don't know why that is. But I'm going to continue. But before we get started, I just want to, hey, Roz, I had a couple of emails from people, and they wanted to ask why you were not present at this event that took place Saturday.
Yeah.
Confusion.
Huh? Well, I'm not going to get into any details like that, but I was just canceled at the last minute. That's all I can say. And it was just some confusion, which happens with families sometimes. Let's look at confusion. Confusion means con. Con means with. Fusion means other things and fused together. So it's the confusion there at that point and thereafter. And so for someone to even ask, it's like, I was like a dartboard now. Like, okay, let's throw darts. Why wasn't she there? For other people to even want to know. But and that's what it opens up to, But it was pretty interesting. That's all I can kind of really say to that. But just so the people who might be asking, or anyone who just maybe was expecting to see me, I just want them to know it's not because I wasn't willing or capable or whatever like that. So I have to make an apology for the happening. But not really, because I really don't know what exactly I'm apologizing for, because it was just confusion. And I was just, simple, just cancel. I did have to take a bath with all the salts to wash that off. So, after a while, see, we got to understand the science of, now what's interesting too, though, is even some of my associates, if you will, would say, oh, just come on down anyway. Well, I understand where they're coming from, because remember the lesson the prophet gave. They're coming from the principal prophet. From the principle that prophet brought, which is look for the best in others and give the best in you. And that's all that we all can do, is to look for the best in others and give the best in yourself, and then move on from there. But in the science as well, it takes you got to absorb things, especially when it's confusion. So it takes that's why it's 3 days before you can actually figure out confusion, if that's what you're trying to do. And so it just wasn't enough time if I even remotely was to think to do that, because it was the day before I was coming. So so that's all I got to say to that. That's all I can say to that. I do have some other comments about some other things, but I think I'll let this show begin to discuss that. What I was telling you about earlier, that might be part of our program tonight. So that is it. All I can say regarding the question asked.
I just want to add this on too, real simple. Whenever you're, whenever you're trying to deal with somebody or make plans, one word to always keep in mind is consideration. You know what I mean? And that's all I want to say about it is consideration. You know what I mean?
Oh, I will add this though. As we think about it, in the future, if we, any of us that represent Harvey Bay, Morris Heritage in History, Morris Heritage in History, Eyes Wide Open blog, if it's somewhere that we're going to be, it's going to be on our site anyway. It's not going to, because that's what things should be in unity and in conjunction with. If that's the case, it's part of that, and that would be on our site that we are going to. So if it's not on our site, we probably ain't going to be there, because that way we would have full, that's just from moving forward. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
keep that in mind, so that way we won't have that confusion again. But yeah, so that's that. Well, let's move on with the show. Thanks for asking, and again, to anyone, apologize. All right.
All righty. All right. Before we get started, I just want to send a big shout out to the Moors that held it down at an event, I think, that took place at the National Theater near Harlem. I think it was Saturday. Yeah. Was it Saturday or Sunday?
Oh, the debate.
Was it Saturday or Sunday?
No, it was Sunday.
All right, Sunday.
Yeah.
I didn't see. I didn't get a chance to watch the whole demonstration or the whole debate, but I gotta say it was wonderful seeing all those fezzes out representing. It was beautiful to see the sons, looking sharp, speaking and acting in an intelligent tone. It was just fantastic. Boy, talk about being represented well. That is a big hats off. Gotta give them their props. Looked good, they sounded good, and they spoke very well.
Yes. And but the interesting thing is, like, the whole, wait a minute, before we do it, Alpha, this is very interesting, because the whole thing, like, yeah, we got to see all of it, like you said, but from what you do see and what you did hear and what was brought to your attention or whatever, it's the whole thing, talking about unity, right? And then you say, I'm versing the Moors and I'm versing Noble Drew Ali. I'm going to tell you honestly, I do not know this brother personally at all in any way, shape, form, or fashion. But when I heard the curse that he put on he's coming after Prophet, I'm telling you, it's on there. I've heard him say that this is prior to this affair. I knew then, I said, oh, really? My power is the Prophet even said, and we all ought to know, especially if you know about our stars, you know about this, life, and Meta, which means Mother Nature, by the way, so there's no argument there. But the contents of the knowledge, you already know, ancestors, that they're not gone, that they're on the other side assisting you. And that was made very, very clear by the Prophet himself. He says, my powers are latent and can be called in at any time. So when I heard this brother, say that, I said, oh, who is this guy? He don't know what he just did. Because that would be if he said that about anyone who has passed for him, be it a friend or a foe. You don't do that. That's like, so I figured, okay, that curse is going to come back on him, what he just said. I'm coming after the Moors, and I'm coming after Prophet Noble Drew Ali. I knew in my spirit then, I said, okay, let's see what happens to him as a result. Nobody has to say anything. He said it himself. So, but the whole thing is that we are all Moors. We're first navigators on the planet, man. We are the mother. My mother's breast has given us sight, and that's the Moabite and the root. The Moabite. I mean, why? We're family. Now, one of the things that I did see is that someone had mentioned that, we know that black is not a nationality. So the black consciousness peoples are aware that black is not a nationality. So then what is the debate? Because we're not talking about clubism stuff. We're talking about nationality. And I also saw where they did a Black Power fist, and everybody in the room, responded back with that, as a callback. But the Moors did not. And that's just simply because they understand what Black Power really means from that perspective. And if you don't know what it means from that perspective, you know what I mean, then, so what it's like is that, right, if it's about nationality, right, then, and you know that black is not a nationality, what are you talking about then? Like you're talking about something else formed later or something. Because if you go into the dictionary, and it says that the Moors are now who we have nicknamed Negroes. I mean, right there, it's just the history. And if you know that historically, we were called Moors, then why would you disconnect yourself from that? Because we're all of that. We're the Hebrew, Israelites, Moors. We're the mothers and fathers of civilization, man. And so we're all of those things. So-called Jews, which means a jewel of knowledge, a degree that it's reached. It's not a nationality either, nor is it a religion. You know what I mean? What this Paleolithic or modern European may have made of it is one thing, but you have to go back to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and fathers. So if you know that you're anciently or historically your people were Moors, why are you saying I'm coming after Moors? I don't get that. It doesn't make a lot of sense. So when it comes to unity, you've got to recognize in your scholarly studies, if you're doing scholarly studies, that we're a whole lot of things. We're Saracens. That changed that bastardized to Saxons. We're Turks. We're the Ottoman Empire. We're all of that. All of that. You would only know that if you really did scholarly study. Now, if you want to compete with that and say, well, I'm not a Saracen, my people don't go back that far, when they really do, because we're the mothers and fathers of civilization, then you're the one that's causing a division amongst your own, because you have to go back to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and fathers. Now, when you go back to Egypt, that's really not modern. That's really not as ancient, really. That's really modern. So, but encompassing it all is what unity is. And I do have one more thing that I really do need to say. Oh, my gosh. Please hear this. Please hear this. I understand that a sister came and mentioned something about how we don't produce, or that saying that we produce, that women can, what is it, self-fecundity. It's right in the dictionary. It explains what it is in nature. It's not true. No, she didn't say it wasn't true. She was just saying, she was showing that it brings this unity. Well, let me just say this to everyone listening. It is a matter of fact that women reproduce without the sperm. That is a fact. Now, does it bring unity, this unity to the family today? Absolutely. I agree with that. Because just the mere thought of talking about it brings disunity to the family today. Why? Because there is a greater respect for womanhood that needs to be observed, and it is not. And that is the only reason why it even comes up as topic. But if there is no understanding of the mother and son relationship, or if there is no unity, I would say, in trying to tell somebody that we're not black as a nationality, then I guess there would be disunity and ever understanding the higher science of nature, because that's what it is. So I say this to say, it is a fact that is true. Do your own research. You know about the Amazon, which is amazing women. They're not Europeans. And you know about the parthenogenesis. You know about these things, and you also know about the miracle son, or maybe you don't, and what that really means. So I just want to say that it is a fact that we do. Do we do it today? If women were to vibrate at the high level that she vibrates at, instead of this mental slavery portion of their mind that's going on now, it's absolute. It's absolutely so, and is so, and has been so, and will be so again. This is why the prophet said, look, little girls going to the store and say, Mommy, guess what I saw today? Because, it's not going to be many of these warrior sons, because they really are out fighting for warriors with the wrong they're going to cause. And also one other thing in this that I wanted to mention, and it just slipped my mind, but I just wanted to say that it is true. absolutely true. Oh, and then the story about the 23 chromosomes that they bring up as scientific, well, there's actually 46 that man has. But now you would have to understand who man is. So if you have all 46, then you would have breast in the womb, too, as well. Now, this is just science facts here that I'm giving you. So what happened and what is this split? Now, she still has eggs that are 46. And trust me, and that's what used to be in terms of the vibration or how we vibrated with the eating right, et cetera, like that, and really, quite frankly, without this mental slavery going down. So I'm not saying that the sons can't assist her. Can assist. Yeah, you're not building that temple. I'm going to tell you that right now. But you can assist by assisting her to do so, because that's what's happening. When asked what is the solution, sisters, hear me clear. The solution to all this bullcrap, every last bit of it, rests in her. And it only rests in him if he's assisting her. So the first school room is absolutely the womb. And that's where it's going to change from. It's going to change from who she brings forth in the future. This is why the prophet said this is for the young and yet unborn. So, again, I say, yes, we do reproduce like that. It is the capability. And also that, yes, it does bring disunity because we can't even talk about it. It's about disunity. But, if we can't talk about the difference that we're not black, how could we get to that? And also we have to recognize that there is, we're talking about nature and matriarch, and this is about we've gone off into this field of patriarch, which is against nature. It's not natural. So that's all I just wanted to add to that. So I don't know, Miss, you may have a comment. You saw some stuff on there too. What would you like to comment about?
Yeah, well, first, if I may, I just want to add on. Cujo texted me. He said that 60% of those Moors that were in the building, naturalized Moors, like the Moors that go through naturalization process or push that in this RV Bay. But back to this.
Say that again.
Cujo said that 60% of the Moors that were there are the Moors who go push the naturalization process in this RV Bay publications and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
But I wanted to comment on the debate, though, because watching it, you see how self-evident this sickness of the concept of being black is. Like, you look at it, people think they're black because of their dark skin, which is automatically a false premise. But then you have people of a lighter complexion who think they're black. You know what I mean? And it's like, well, if it's based off of complexion, how can yellow and brown people literally think they're black? You got somebody who obviously has a mixture somewhere in the bloodline, no disrespect to any bloodlines, but is way lighter and telling this dark melanated Moor that he's black. I think that the Moor definitely won that debate. I think both of their plans we all could play and have a better plan, don't get me wrong, but I think the Moor definitely won that debate as far as the substance of the topic, straight up and down. And I just wanted to give an acknowledgement to Cujo and the brother Rami Salam for even finishing the contester of the Moors before, it even got to the day of the debate, because I don't know who told him it was all right to step in and try to debate about being Moors when he wasn't qualified. No, I mean, it's undebatable.
Exactly.
So, it's an undebatable subject. But I think that, some people learned from it. I'm pretty sure people learned from it. Well, it was very clear that this man was not a scholar in the fashion of, debunking the fact that we're Moors. It's undebunkable. It is what it is. So, I mean, that was almost a guaranteed lose-lose situation for him anyway. Trying to debate such a topic was folly ab initio,
Well, yeah, but let's look at it though for a minute. So, and I heard the comments thereafter. and many people. So what do we do now? And I said, oh, so when they ask her, what do we do now, maybe they realize that we are all family. I mean, you know, they may be acting like Fredo outside of the family. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like, all right, so yeah, unity.
But the only remedy is nationality, because you got to remind yourself, right? These brothers were debating about who we are, and then about a plan that will work for our people. This dude, calling himself Reggie and whatnot, he was saying that he had a quote-unquote black city sovereignty plan. And that in itself is just small-minded, because one, we're not black. And when you're talking about nationality, you're talking continental. Where's the plan for that at? You know what I mean? Like this is our ancestral state. The reason why that wasn't even a thought, you know what I mean, is because they're small-minded. It's not, you're not looking at what's really going down. What the takeover was, as far as what the Europeans did in conquering North, South, Central America, etc., and colonizing, and how do we decolonize? You know what I mean? I'm not knocking any small area or anything like that, but I'm saying on a bigger plan, the remedy for that is nationality, if that's what people are trying to do.
Well, hold on a moment. May I interject? You said black sovereignty city. All right, check it.
No, I didn't say that. No, that's what he said. He had a black city sovereignty plan. Yeah.
Okay, black sovereignty plan. All right, check it out. First of all, he must not know that sovereignty doesn't stand alone. It comes with nationality. And so, therefore, since black is not a nationality, I don't care what they try to do, and if they try to make it a nationality, under what authority would they do that? It would have to be under the authority of the modern European, which is no authority at all. However, you can't gain sovereignty without a nationality. So, therefore, you're right. That plan is idiotic. It's just pie in the sky type thing. I don't know what it is, but it's not going to happen. Now, you can go to these modern Europeans if you want to, and you can propose some bull crap if you want to. And if what you're proposing is looking for their authority in any way, shape, form, or fashion, rather than lawful notice to them as Aboriginal indigenous people, they will take you in on it, and you don't even realize they just put you under their jurisdiction so they could continue sucking your blood, literally, and I forgot the word. You know, that's right. Your bloodline and everything that is yours by inheritance. They'll do that all day long, and that's what we've been doing for generations, coming up with some other plan, you know, and some other club and some other association, everything but nationality. And that means honoring your mothers and fathers by name and by principle. That we won't do, but yet we'll admit that, yeah, we historically were Moors. So, I mean, what the heavens? It's just ridiculous. So,
and you know
so
what?
Maybe,
that discussion absolutely, you know, this is great, because this discussion absolutely ties into the topic of tonight's broadcast, which is, this is not a multiple choice pick and choose program that Prophet Noble Drew Ali brought back to us. Because some wars behave and demonstrate as though they do not comprehend what was brought back to them. They seem to demonstrate in this manner. Studying. The Prophet said, study, 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 but they will study what Europeans are doing to steal our inheritance like UCCs. Now, somebody in the chat room asked, you know, well, why can't you use UCCs? Okay, here's the reason you can't use UCCs. You got to know what UCC is an acronym. UCC stands for Uniform Commercial Code. Now, the key word in that statement is commercial. This is not an issue of commerce. This is an issue of birthright theft. That's number one. Right, number two, this is about enforcing the American Constitution, which is a pre-existing contract. Okay, it is the contract that allows them to even come here and then subsequently engage in commerce for their own good, not to enslave the Aboriginal indigenous people under any birth certificate, so-called birth certificate, which is actually evidence of human trafficking. And then, there's a lot of things that the UCC might be in terms of commerce, nothing to do with nationality. You are not proclaiming your nationality using a UCC. And if there are modern Europeans that only acknowledge UCC, that is a setup. Because they're saying, okay, well, you still ain't, we'll accept the Uniform Commercial Code process because it still classifies you as a commercial entity. That's a setup.
It's a contract, doesn't it?
It has to do with contracts. It deals with merchants, and in order for it to deal with merchants, there must be merchandise. So now the question to ask yourself is, where's the merchandise? That's a big question because, see, if there is no merchandise, then the only merchandise they could be referring to is you. But you cannot come out and say that because that would be presumptive. You have to ask the appropriate question. You are utilizing Uniform Commercial Code, which implies that you are a merchant and you are selling merchandise. Where is your merchandise? And then shut up. All right? So that's the end of that. Now, then we have enforce. All right? This is what more seems to be saying. I will enforce the UCCs and statutes. But the prophet said enforce the American Constitution of 1791. This is not a pick or choose situation. This is a matriarchy, but I will continue in the patriarchal mentality. This is a divine movement, but more seem to focus only on the national instead of realizing they cannot be separated.
Hello.
We are scientists, but we'll only look at astrology to see what things one may get. We uplift fallen humanity, but only the sons, when fallen humanity is her. This is a religion. You have more saying, private brought us religion. Okay, well, what is religion? What exactly is religion? Well, you don't want to go with what religion really is. You go with the dogma. Dogma is perpetuated when religion means binding back. Binding back to what? Your ancestors. This is what it's about.
Life for them. Yeah, religion, and if I can say, when you're dealing with commerce, I mean, you said it so well. The key word is commerce, and we keep forgetting that one of the reasons we allowed them to come over, if you read the letter from George Washington, is they wanted to do commerce. They wanted to do the spice trade and all of that. And there's a fine tune if you really look up. We did a sister standing on law on that. There's a big difference between a merchant, which we are the original merchants, with original organic stuff from the earth, whether you make cloth out of it, whether it's the food from the ground, whether it's whatever. We are the original merchants. They are doing commerce, which is a slight difference in being third party. They're reselling the product that, remember, the gold, the silver, and everything, all the resources of the land belong to the Aboriginal Indigenous Moors of the land. So, and that's why you got all this fake stuff and food that kills you and stuff like that, because this is what they're doing with the third party, intervening on it. So you could never definitely find your nationality in commerce, but that's what they came over here to do, commerce, and then they made commerce out of you. And here we are talking about, I got my UCC, and it's a contract that you didn't even have before, and now you made one. And if you're getting into the codes or the really ancient merchant laws, really, if you're getting into that, then that means that you're coming into doing business, however you're going to do it, as a Moor, not the commerce codes are going to make you it as one. No, what protects you is the Constitution and those rights that are unalienable, inalienable, and your property is covered in that. Right? What is it? Amendment what? 4, 5? Which one is it? Where your property you cannot have you to be secure in your paper.
4 and 5, really. Yeah,
4 and 5.
That's the Fourth Amendment. You have the right to be secure in your person's, the right of the people to be secure in their person's house's papers and effects. So not to violate it.
With just compensation, nothing can be taken from you without just compensation.
That's the fifth. Yeah.
That's the fifth. So there you go. It's already protected.
Mhm.
Exactly. And that's why, you know, like I said, this is not a multiple choice pick and choose program that Prophet Noble Drew brought back to us, an emphasis on back. Because I have heard more say, oh, you know, the Prophet brought us this, as though the Prophet made this up. No, he just brought us back what was always there. So he didn't bring us anything new. Just like Yahshua didn't bring anything new, Prophet Noble Drew Ali didn't bring anything new. It was always here. It's just that we got lost kind of, sort of, along the way, you know, and we started following other people's made-up, you know, I don't even want to call it a custom, but I guess custom is a good word because custom doesn't necessarily imply an ancient culture. It you know, these modern Europeans, they don't have a culture. Everything they got from us. So we need to, you know, when we really look at what the Prophet brought back to us, we need to look, you know, because we need to read between the lines, because he told us some very significant things using a limited amount of words and sentences, but in those small sentences, he packed a powerful punch. And so if we would just slow down and study and really, you know, because a lot of us, we still function under that patriarchal mentality. We suffer under mental enslavement, many of us. And this is why, it's for this reason and many others, why he says we have to study, because it's going to take a lot to purge that mental enslavement out of you. And because many Moors have not even begun to start doing that, they fall into this pick and choose category. I'm going to do this, but I ain't going to do that. Then you got to do it all. You got to do a complete purging. You can't just, look, if you're going to pick and choose, then you might as well just not even bother, because you're not making any effective changing at all. And that's why he told us, hey, you know, wake up, you sleepy-headed Moors. You sleep too damn much.
Well, that's true. That's true. You know, what you said, too, brings me to another thing, and I think we may have mentioned this. I don't know if it was on this Tuesday broadcast or Wednesday class, where the brother was asked a question about, do you think it's time to update some of the prophet's information? Well, that's like crazy, because he brought principles, and principles never change. So that means that you don't really understand what he brought yet to even ask that question. But that's all right. Just get to studying, and you'll find out. You know, what that is really all about. And you're right. He said this is divine and national. He didn't say pick the divine or pick the national, because when you'll find out is that the two can be separated. And so many people have done that, you know. And the whole thing is, like you said, it's the mindset. And then he covered that. He says, listen, I came to bring you out of your mental slavery, and I came to teach you to be yourself. You know what I mean? And like we say it all the time, and you can only be what you know. You know what I mean? So, hey, not a pick and choose, that's for sure. It is what it is. Now, as far as I want to add this because I watched this show, and just to give an example of what will happen to you if you don't study. And I have to say, my son turned me on to the Book of Negroes. Son, thank you so much, because I had to watch all. It's only 6 episodes, but it was really eye-opening to certain things. Now, what it really brought me back to was when the prophet said, he said, look, there's no need for the 14th and 15th Amendment since the Constitution of 1774 didn't change. And we already went through when we found out what that is, the association, right? Articles of Association. There is a part in there, and it just, like, woke me up, where, and now hear me, people, because you got to see it yourself, but if you do not have any knowledge before you see it, it'll go way what? Right over your head, right over your head. The Europeans, during the time of the British, in presence in New York, the Empire State at that time, or what was the Empire State called, New York, they had fugitive slaves that had come from the South, escaping slaves, which was some melanated people, of course. And then they had, they weren't slaves, they were enslaved, all right? And then the real slaves and what it was really, really about, and they said it. The sister was standing there, and she had already got loose from the South. Now, she came straight from the other side of the Big River. They called it the Big River, coming from what you know as Africa today, and coming across the water was called the Big River. They also called the Ohio River the Jordan River. Now, y'all got to hear this now. So she was standing there in New York, and chaos kind of broke out with these modern Europeans who are really the slaves and subjects of the British. And the European guy came by and he says, "Are you a Tory?" And she says, "No, what is that?" She didn't know what a Tory was, because a Tory is another name for a Moor on the British side. So he says, "Good, better not be." And then she thought that she needed to run from this chaos that was coming about as being a slave, right? So he says, "No, this is about us." This is what the Europeans said to the sister. This is about us. We're not going to be slaves anymore. Now, this is European. Now, let's see. Have we known anything about that? No. But what is happening in this electrifying age of information? That truth is coming forth. Now, there's a whole lot of things that I could go through with this. But what really brought to head was when the prophet said that the South fought the North. You know, he almost said it like, listen, don't pay attention to that 14th, 15th Amendment, because it has nothing to do with you. And he was saying, look, that's all about when the South fought the North for freedom of slavery, who at that time, here's the key, what he said, who at that time had no political power. I was like, oh, shoot, because the U.SIA hadn't even been established yet. So what you saw was these modern Europeans were the original slaves brought over as subjects by the British Moors. And they were fighting the British Moors to keep their slaves. And the European Slavics, they were fighting to be free. So in 1776, eventually, well, in 1774, they appealed to the Congress, which wasn't them, was us, to change their allegiance, you know, basically begging, you know, like, we want to get out of this, and we said, all right, as long as you get your freedom from the British, all right. Now, when the British surrendered, now before they surrendered, let me add this, there were some Moors who had come from the South, who had been enslaved and who had escaped slavery and came up north. Some of them were told by the British, look, if you fight with us, you'll maintain your independence, or you'll receive it, because the slave masters had papers on them as owning them. Now, check this out. What you really had is slaves enslaving others. So slaves enslaving slaves. Because as soon as the British pulled out or surrendered, right, all of these European so-called slave masters who were shaking in their boots to hope that they could get free from the British masters that had them enslaved. As soon as the British pulled out, they came back up north, raiding and everything, looking for their property with papers that they had saying that this particular person is our slave. Now, at the same time, in grand contrast, there were people up north. Cuba Gooding played the part. He was never a slave. He did not have to have no slave papers or freedom papers, as they called it. The people in the community, including these rigorous Europeans in the so-called tribunals, respected him. He could walk in there, and if he had something to say in their tribunal or court, that they call it, well, they call them tribunals then, they would listen to what he had to say because he was knowledgeable, respected. Same thing goes with us. If we know law and we act we are in an intelligent tone, same effect, but we got to go through a lot now to gain this knowledge. So when the British surrendered, I'm just saying, those people who they promised to give the freedom were then subjected possibly to these modern Slavics coming up from the south to try to kidnap them, because that's what they were doing. And they didn't give a damn about the agreement. All they had in their hand was their paper saying that this is my property. So here you have them just coming out of slavery, right? Being freed. And you got the modern European looking at them to try to enslave them. Now you have to read the Benjamin Banneker letter, because that's exactly what he says in the letter. So what came to me was the 1774, what the prophet was saying, not trying to say, what he actually did say, that this United States, this USA was formed as a political jurisdiction for modern Europeans only. You cannot be a citizen of that. You, as a Moor, were never British subjects. The Europeans were British subjects. The modern European Slavics were British subjects. So I end this to say that I clearly understand what went on. You have people who you birthed or made, created, laboratory, however, that were born into slavery. I'm talking about Europeans. And now you wonder, what are they going to do? They're going to do the only thing they know. And the only thing they know is slavery and inhumane treatment. And some say, well, they went way overboard, treat me like an animal. But remember, during the process of them, through generations of breeding them, of us breeding them, right, wrong, or indifferent, they were, in many ways, animal-like at some time, until they developed to a more upright being. All right? That's just the truth, whether you want to accept it or not. So that animal treatment that they give to you, they learned it. That's all they knew. That's all they knew. Now, once you and I get this straight in our head, we can move on to fix this thing. And that's what we're supposed to do. It's called the mission is about uplifting this fallen humanity. It's fallen humanity because we are working in our lower self. The lower attributes of self is what was reflected upon and onto this being when they were established, and we have absorbed the same thing, because all of us have a higher and lower self. That's why he made it clear. How many cells? Lower and higher. Most all of them during this time of slavery, but them being enslaved, are acting out from a lower self lower self activity. If we can understand this, if we can get this through our head, we would have the right spiritual and knowledgeable approach to fixing it. But if we don't, we can't move forward in truth, because you cannot find peace without the truth and without the first principle of love. And this is why it said that we must learn to love instead of hate. We walk in hate of this modern European, and we call it white man, which is wrong to say, because it gives it a certain power of purity, and lordship that he doesn't have. We walk through that instead of realizing that that who is who and what is what, and that we can walk in another principle called love to fix it instead of walking in the principle of hate. And we do it. We've been doing it for generations, and we got to come out of it. And the only way is to know the truth about these things so that we can move forward and stop giving this power to this being that he does not have over you as a matter of jurisdiction. Jurisdiction means right words. That's what we have to do, and that follows through everything, through the courts or so-called courts that they have, to the tribunals, to the administrative, through everything we do in life, because life is the court. We lack something called jurisdiction, which is right words, and we lack it because we lack knowledge to speak the right words, because it is through our words that create our reality, because the seed is the thought. The seed is the thought. And with that, we would then manifest our own reality. We cannot do it being in lack. We cannot be in a lack of knowledge and manage to make this happen. Islam.
I wanted to add on, if I may. Another interesting thing about the film you were talking about is that in the beginning of the film, her father was teaching her Islam, and one of the things he taught her is how to get home by the sun. Speaking of astrology, you know what I mean? And on that note, it's a quote on RV Bay Publications, Return of the Matriarch page, where you basically went in, even on religion, because we were talking about it earlier, and I just quoted myself right here. It says, the suppression continues due to the woman's lack of knowledge of herself. As an example, by her not knowing that the true meaning of religion means the study of the stars, she continues to force herself and her children to practice pseudo-religion, which is designed to suppress civilization. I won't read the whole thing, but that's on the Return of the Matriarch page for those, seek the perspectives that's all out there. And that's so true, because this is what leads to victory. This is we're basically natural solar panels ourselves, so we absorb so many different waves and rays of energy that, it's only logical and wisdom to acknowledge what's self-evident. And as far as telling time and, tracking your path, you can at least know, east from west within a matter of a few degrees just by where the sun is headed. You know, east from west, et cetera, et cetera. So,
you know what? That's interesting too, because because there's another series. I haven't finished watching it yet, but there's so much information in this electrifying age of information. But that's the one called Underground, right? And it starts out with talking about Dred Scott and jurisdiction, and we're looking at the what they call the Negro spirituals, and how that those were just songs that were given directions. But check it. It was using the stars, and the land layouts. Like it would say, what was that? The drinking gourd shines through the blue haze. What they're saying, look up into the blue sky and look and see the Big Dipper, because it looks like a cup. So that's why they call it a drinking gourd. It's just really interesting how everything is mixed. But like I said, I don't have much else to say about the matter. So I will say this. Prophet Noble Drew Ali said, in this electrifying age of information, this is where we find happening right now. But I also realize, as I said, that things will go right over your head if you haven't already been studying or have some. It's in your DNA. We know this, but you have to unveil it, which is what apocalypse means, the unveiling. So it has to be unveiled, or in another term, you have to have an exorcism and then have the baptism. It's just that simple. Otherwise than that, you may be losing your mind right about now or having some serious issues, whatever they may be, however they may, manifest in your life. But all the messages are there, man. They're all there. Just like 12 Years a Slave. Like lately, it's been telling people, you were not slaves. You were not slaves. You were not slaves. You were enslaved, some, but not everybody was slaves or ever enslaved. It's just truth, especially up north. That's why they're showing this now. Even in 12 years of slavery. The true 12 years of slavery is the 8 years of grammar school and the 4 years of high school. That's your 12 years of slavery, for real. That's the code. That's the message there. And the brother in that movie, he was free as it could be. He was cool until he took on a meeting with some Europeans and meeting some Europeans down south. And he was drinking and being merry, and he woke up in chains. They gave him something. But who assisted him? Who assisted that? Same as you'll find in the Book of Negroes. Your own people assisted in the slavery. So I've heard people say, "Oh, we're not Moors. Moors started the slave trade." Well, I mean, really, we enslaved each. We were the arbiters of slavery from the beginning in the first place. So that's no reason for you to say you're not a Moor. It really isn't any reason to say that. But, we would have to get our illustrious history, not what the European has put in these systems to teach you, spoon feed you, tell you what they want you to know. And you can get it easily if you just apply the study and have the principles and the foundation. It all comes together like a puzzle piece, Mm-hmm. So these movies lately, or these series or whatever, they're telling it if you have the key.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. My fault. But yeah, I wanted to add on to it, if I may, before we go on. On the concept of this whole concept of the Europeans being the government, et cetera, et cetera. Like nobody said, I'm going to leave Europe long enough to teach you government. He said this in the range of 1913 to 1929, in that time frame, right? And at that particular time, the UCC was not even created. That acronym, as far as the commercial codes, wasn't even manifested until 1952 Gregorian calendar, right? Mm-hmm. So when he said, I'm going to leave them here long enough to teach you government, that implies we can learn something from them. We can learn something from them. But the UCC is not the government. He was talking about them teaching us or us learning from them. You know what I mean? Don't get me wrong. What they got going on today, as far as education standards, are just totally below average. But I'm saying in that time frame, those older texts that Europeans was putting out, or Moore's jurisprudence and international law and science, we can learn from that. We can definitely learn from that. I say that because if you don't learn from that, you automatically might lose the adversities that could come at hand. You have to know something about the adversary. And I'm not to say that all Europeans are adversaries or whatnot. Don't get me wrong. I'm not to say that they're all friends either. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that just like they learned just about everything they know, including the English language from Moors, as we've been detached, it's a lot we can learn to get back as far as following the trail back, I would say. That's just my opinion. And UCCs is not it. of that sort because, you know, they have not been ruling with ignorance. They know, you know what I mean? Some of them, you know, are that. They just, you know, some people don't know everything, but they're not completely dumb. Intentionally hold back certain information from us and different people of the public, but for some things, and that's definitely what they've been ruling with.
But that's just because we keep thinking, like the prophet says, you know, you must have your own schools for a reason. That's just because we keep running to their venues thinking that that's what we need to you know, for our improvement, and it's not. You know, so we have to stop going into their venues for that. Let me see. We're looking at. Oh yeah, right. Yeah, right. It definitely is about killing nature. And Shriners Hospital for Children. Anything for children is about the mother. That's right. All right. So, so a lot of lessons are being learned right now. You know, the vibration is speeding up because remember in chapter 1 we were in this fallen condition after it's slowed down. So now it's moving up. Can you keep up or what? No, I didn't know if there was anything else you wanted to add, or you wanted to add. Anita, are you there?
Yes, I am. I am here.
How's it going?
Like I said, it's not a multiple choice. That's you know. So we really got to do our homework. We really got to study. We got to know what is, you know, because a lot of people, I'm going to ask a relevant question for a lot of people. What is this nationality thing all about? It is certainly not a choice, but you know, what you know, it's not something that, look, there's a reason the prophet said study, because when it comes to birthright and nationality, that information is extensive, and it's not restricted to one portion of the land. All right, you gotta know the past. You gotta know the past in terms of your family history. And one of the things I think that confuses people, and I saw it even in this debate that went down, is that people they have not taught people that this land was one land mass. Now, if you can keep in your mind that there was a time when this was one land mass, there was no great body of water separating the land. You know, the land wasn't broken up into various different large land masses and drifted so far away that you needed a boat or a plane or a ship or whatever, you know, to get to another portion of it. And if we can keep in our mind when we do our research, what you're going to find is that we are one people on planet Earth. You know, and this is why the prophet said, look, I've come to teach you to love instead of hate. And he also said this is the uniting of Asia, which is the uniting of family. So when you look in at someone and they have that melanated complexion, know that you're looking at your family. Distant or far or close is still your family. When you look at modern Europeans, you're looking at a different family. One that you can never, ever, ever be a part of. It's just not possible.
You know what? You know? I'm sorry. I got to tell you, you said that, and it just takes you back to what Prophet Nova Ali said, when you go out into the world, remember that relationship that bindeth you, and you know, he says, prefer not a stranger over thine own blood. And I just have to add this because someone had asked, well, where does this all start? Where do we start? I said, it starts with the woman, period. It starts with the woman. In the womb is the first schoolroom. It is the first schoolroom. And then that and then the raising of the child, and then once the personal houses, when you're dealing with astrology, the personal houses, what your mama made you, what you were taught at home or whatever, and then in the seventh house you go into society, right? So that's what it starts. What was endowed with you? And this is why there's that maxim that says that society starts with family, so does the authority to govern and every thing else. And then it's like, well, where did it go wrong? And I have to say, it went wrong when you stepped into society with the wrong societal principles. That's where it went wrong. When you stepped into society trying to act and be with the European mindset, which is why you were told to go back to the mindset of your ancient foremothers and forefathers. Islam. That's what it reminds me of.
Absolutely. And that's why we got to study, because if you're not studying, I would tell you right now, it's not going to sink into your cranium, and therefore what happens is that when you don't have enough information, you don't know how to talk in an intelligent tone. You're afraid, and because you don't know how to talk in an intelligent tone, you're afraid. And so what ends up happening is, these modern Europeans, you've got to understand that our animals sense, they smell fear. So the minute that they smell fear, they will sink their fangs into you, and they will not let up until you're dead, literally. That's why the prophet emphasized that we must study, study, study. Now, all the things that the prophet has said, I've never heard him say anything and repeat it 3 times, except study, 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 because it is so important. Studying.
And he said after that, he said study, study, study. And if you have studied well and would ask me what to study next, I would reply, study yourself. And that's what we would give to, say, all these people studying, including that duel that just happened at National Theater. Study yourself. If you know who you are, where you came from, honoring your ancient foremothers and forefathers beyond Egypt, as an example, beyond that, then that would be a part of studying yourself, and then you will realize we're family.
Exactly. And that was another thing that I noticed in this debate. Everybody was taking sides. Oh, well, I'm a Moor. I'm a black. I'm an Israelite. I'm a this. I'm a Muslim. I'm of the Nation of Islam. I'm this. But what I saw was a room full of people that all look like they come from the same damn family. Yeah. That's what I saw. And let me tell you what that's going to, when that video goes out, what people around the world is going to see is that you have one family in one room, and they were divided because they were calling themselves all these different names. And they didn't even realize that all you had to do was look in each other's face, and you knew what was what.
Yeah, that's why it says when you look in the face of men, you look in the face of Allah. Yeah, right.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
And another thing to add, because I heard comments there too about religion. We gotta put down the Bible. Well, excuse you, but what was written, those ancient texts are written from your ancestors. It's what this modern European did when they took only 66 books from that and put it into this book. So it's elementary, and the Quran is advanced. Elementary astrology science book, and then Quran is certainly an advanced astrology book. So why are you separating your brethren? Because one is at the level of possibly studying the Quran, which means it's more an advanced science book, astrology book, and the other one is on the elementary, although there's definitely stuff missing, but they're all connected. And so the dogmatic religion is what has divided us, and none of us know what the true religion is, and the prophet says that. And until you find out what it is and where it is, there will always be religious controversy, and that's what they use to separate us. And guess what? That's what's happening. Well, you know, the brother over here praying to Allah, and the brother over here praying, you know, to Brahma, and the brother over here, you know what I mean, like that. It's still your brothers, your brethren, and all of those. They're all telling the same story. If you really study, they're all telling the same story in a different manner, and some in a more advanced manner, especially in a more advanced spiritual matter in terms of spiritual development. That's all that it is doing. And it's laughable for those who are these, say, that's looking, like you said, looking in. They're like, wow, they don't even know. They don't even know what the heck their ancient ancestors have done. They don't even know. They don't even recognize the writings of their own people.
There would be no debate. But somebody else emphasized that, too, that the brother Khalid Muhammad pointed that out a while ago. He already said all of that is ours. Not that, you know, we needed him to or not to say that, but it's already an acknowledged historical fact that all of these different documents come from the same people. So, you know, people divided amongst themselves, don't want to accept themselves. It may even be an element of self-hatred in there.
Yeah.
As far as why, you know, they keep denying any relation to Moors, etc., because it's an undebatable fact, you know. And then people say, well, what language is Moor? There's over 100 derivatives of the word Moor in just about every language. You know what I mean? Black has no derivatives except bleach. In another language, it's totally different. Negro for Latin. But you got Moor, Moroccan, Moreno, Moray, Morillo, you know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of derivatives of this one word. You know what I mean? So, and they all go back to dark-skinned people. And I find it funny with this whole debate thing. It's always, and I don't, you know, not to judge off of skin complexion, but that's the mind state that they have an ancestor that was really, really brown skinned, and therefore that makes them black type of thing, and that's not true. You know what I mean? But it's always the, I don't know, like, it's people in all different complexions who think that, but it's not a fact. It's just not.
Well, add one other thing. Let's clear this up right here now. The other thing that people miss is like, well, you know, I know we were more historically, but we weren't more Americans. So now you didn't do your study to know that America is on Morocco. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Right. And the modern and contemporary is America, which is the bastardization of Morocco, and that you're standing in it because now you are home. This is like, it's like, how you going to, like you said earlier, have sovereignty without land? You can't do that. It doesn't happen. It's the tie to the land that the sovereignty comes with the nationality and the political, of course, the political allegiance. But, you know, so it all ties together. You know, so more American is just saying, look, that's really almost like it's the same thing.
Mm-hmm. And you know what? Another thing I wanted to add on, because Anna E pointed that out. It was like division in the room, but I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that the Moor did say before he went in on his presentation that they saw Reggie as his brother, et cetera, went in on chapter 20. And the whole point was...
You cut out.
Uh-oh.
You cut out. We lost you.
Yeah, already. Hold on a minute. What happened? He's still there. He might not know that his phone went mute. Let me see if I can text him real quick.
Hold on, let me see if we can just pull him back in.
No, he just dropped. I'm going to have to wait for him to come back in. This is the second time.
Because I wanted to hear what he was saying.
Yeah. Oh. All right, here he's back. Hold on.
All right. You
Yeah.
there? All right.
Yeah, pardon me. I don't know what's going on. My signal strength is up. Everything is good. I don't know what.
Well, you know, you get ready to say something that was pretty impacting because the last we heard, and that you were saying that it was an acknowledgement that the brother was the brother, that was the brethren, and then you were going to say something after that. The whole point was.
Yeah, no, because you know, if you pay attention to what the videos Cool Joe was putting out, Canaan Land Moors, etc., you know, the way this brother was trying to approach the situation was adversarial, like we're not Moors, we're black type of concept, and I'm not a Moor, I'm black, and Moors put everybody in slavery, etc., etc. So he was trying to create the adversity, but it just wasn't there because that wasn't the point. The brother was saying that we're Moorish Americans, we're Moors, and this is why. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to give props that he didn't really say it was division because he still included him in the perspective of Moors. So, you know, I just, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because they were on some, we're not Moors, we're black. I'm not, you know, I'm not a Moor, I'm a black man and, you know, black African power type of thing. And it was like totally irrelevant, you know?
Exactly. And, you know, what we would say to that, because they would say something else, too, that about, you know, like when they did their little acknowledgement to black power, you know, and everybody recants it back, that Moors wasn't recanting that black because that's not, you know, because that's not where you're at. We already know that if you're coming from a nationality perspective, you know, you're not black. And then, of course, they went into the science of the word, and then they were like, well, you're trying to say, like, they don't understand language. Black can be used as a description, but that word itself only came in the 5th century, so how can you possibly talk about ancient ones and ancient ancestors and then go like that? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, you know, and then we know what the word means. Or I think, like the brother Sharif was trying to bring that from a scholarly perspective and from a nationality perspective, is what the words actually mean. Because the first it was the word. The word was with God. It's about the word. That's what jurisdiction is, words. So, you know, so you're right. He's saying I'm black. Well, are you, like, if you were brown, would you say I'm brown? I mean, what are you saying? You know,
right.
There's various, what is it, the various copper tone people of all shades. So what is that?
Yeah. And our co-partners across the Great Atlantis do not identify with that. And neither do they identify with that even, you know, outside of the borders of what they call U.S. We know this is North America, but I'll never forget the time we was in the theater and a sister came from the islands and said, I never heard of people calling themselves black until I got to North America. She said that straight up in front of everybody. So, you know, it's a foreign concept, you know, and a small-minded one at that.
So let me just say this to end this, because I think this is where, you know, look. So when we talk about this, and you're talking about nationality, such as what the Moor Sharif was bringing, then you know this is the whole purpose. Come, hear the truth about your nationality and your birthright. All right, because they go hand in hand. You are not Negro, colored, or black people. That's the first degree there. If you want to hear about your nationality, you got to know you're not black. But apparently they don't want to hear about nationality because that comes from birth. I mean, I don't know what their reason is, but it comes from birth. And within it is held your birthrights, your rights of birth. So you can't march talking about your black and then talk about your rights. They don't go together. It's just that simple. If you want to be in a group, an association, a movement, whatever you want to call it, that's called brown or that's called black or that's called purple, you got to understand, be in that if you want to, but that has nothing to do with your nationality, wherein your unalienable, inalienable rights of birth are rest. And that's the simplicity of it all. Because I might want to join a group that says purple power. What does that have to do with nationality? Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And your rights rest in your nationality, brother, not in whether you are deciding to say purple power or black power or brown power. Islam.
Islam. And, the other thing that I want to make mention of is, as you said that the sister came to class and she said she never heard of people identifying themselves as black until she came to North America. I can tell you, I know people from the landmass they call Ethiopia, Somalia, Nigeria. None of them identify themselves as Africans. That is not a nationality at all. So really what people here have to recognize is that it's like they're grabbing onto these words as a means of identifying themselves, but these words do not identify them as a family. Now, and let me just clarify this. Because I know I hear some cackling whores out there talking about, well, I've got to do the DNA to find out which family over in Africa I come from and what tribe I might be associated with. No, you don't. That's why you're called the heir apparent.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to do no extensive research like that because it is so apparent to anybody who knows around the globe who you are. This is why the prophet brought to us, what did the prophet come to teach you? To be yourself. Stop trying to be black. Stop trying to be Negro. Stop trying to be African. Stop trying to be, all of these things that denote to no family tie. This is what he brought you. He said, be yourself. Well, who are you? I'm a Moor. Okay, well, act like it. Stop acting like you're black or you're Negro or you're colored because you're not those things. You can never be those things because you are the heirs apparent. Islam.
And I just want to add on, too, as far as that DNA test goes, you might be able to Google this. I forgot what the direct name of this particular clip is, but they did a DNA test. They took a couple of brothers, and a couple of sisters' DNA, and I think it was about 3 Moors they interviewed, and when they did the DNA test, they took it to different labs, and every lab had a different report, showing that the test itself is invalid. It's too many different things that are going on. You're not always going to get an accurate result doing the DNA test. So you might be able to Google in something like, woman takes DNA test or false DNA test or something like that. You know what I mean? And that should pop up, false DNA test videos. Try to do the videos or Google it under all, and that should come back. But that goes to show that, these particular alleged methods of scientific tracing of lineage are not necessarily valid when it comes to these institutions, which is why it's important to know, world history, specifically for those people who think they are black. I'm telling you, if you just do a little bit of investigation into Moors, and don't just leave it at Morocco, because a lot of people get this confused by just thinking and correlating Moors with just Morocco, when we are everywhere, and I do mean everywhere. The melanated people of the planet were everywhere first. So-called Europe is a part of Asia. They are Asiatics. Siembe went into that. He went in on that as far as that whole chain of land being ruled by Muslims, and Muslims does not mean any type of specific religious practice. It is contrary to what they call Christianity, but not necessarily contrary to having knowledge of the Bible and those types of scripts. Because, you see the images where as different Asiatics, yogis, Buddhists, etc., Hindus, they wear the turban too. You know what I mean? So being Muslim is not necessarily just correlative to religion. In history, just like we were known as Saxons, and then you got the distinguishment with Anglo-Saxons, we were Saracens, Moors, Phoenicians, Carthaginians, all of Aztecs, you know what I mean? These are different words for different tribes of Moors. All of these were melanated people. So that will get you back on the path where you realize, like, all right, this concept of one, the unity of life, chapter 3, where you were saying study and study yourself. That chapter is called the unity of life. Every living thing is connected to every other living thing. So you got to understand, we're in these flesh vessels, and we've been all over this planet. But also we are the spirit energy, the natural energy manifested as well. So it doesn't just stop there. And when you can correlate and connect that to that universal energy, then, it's a lot more simplified. So, you have different tribes, but these are of Moors. These are different Moorish tribes all over the planet. So being a Moor does not just pertain to the northern coast of Africa, Islam.
What I want to do right this time, because we got like 27 minutes left to the live internet feed, what that means is at 11:30, the internet feed is going to go down. That means that anybody listening via the internet, you're not going to be able to hear the last hour of the broadcast after 11:30. You can try to call in 347-945-5899. However, if you are not able to get in, just wait until 12:30 because that's when it's going to end, and then you can download the archives, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the phone lines, and we have caller 210-649. Caller 249. Islam?
Hello?
Islam?
Can you hear me?
Islam.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Hi. I was just wanted to, I didn't know I had pressed the button, but I'm sorry. But I just wanted to tell you guys thank you for everything that you do. You've helped me and my family so much. And with the studies and the shows on the shows that's on the archives and everything. And I think I want to ask you one question about the when like they are invaders. So when we sue them at district level, should we include that as them being invaders into the suit?
Said on the district level?
You should see them as violating the law.
Just sue them as violating the law? Okay.
You're saying invaders? No.
Invaders.
Invaders? No, when you're talking law, talk law.
Okay.
They're violating the law and violating, abridging your rights and violating the law.
Yes, yeah. Okay. That's So when they're invaders, so that's another whole thing, or just
you say invaders? Can you explain what you mean by invaders? Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry. What I mean by invaders is they came here and they committed treason by doing
violating the law. They violated the law, and that's what you're enforcing, the law. You said it so clearly. You said it so clearly that they came here and they were set up with their own jurisdiction, political jurisdiction, United States of America, which is a quasi-national domicile, and you are of a national domicile. All right?
Yes.
Which is superior to a quasi-national all day long. With that came the law of the land, of which they were to follow. so that nobody's right, so that nobody would be molested, which is why we have to enforce it. So a lot of times people want to get into describing, like we can talk about who they are or whatever like that, and they want to get into, you're an invader. No, it's about them enforcing the law. If we would just enforce the law of this land collectively and just stick with that, we would be in much better condition, because otherwise it's a personal attack or what. I mean, even though they're personally attacking you, but that's my take on it. I don't know, Miz, if you want to add something to that.
Yeah, I do. I would say, for the most part, it's not. I mean, it is true that they did invade the land, but subsequent to that, treaties were made, things of that nature. So before you talk about invasion, you need to first just identify who they are. You know what I mean? Call them for who they are, modern Europeans, to keep it on an international level, within the jurisdiction of your ancestral estate. Now, I don't know, what your motivation for suing is, and what the nature of that is. But
I got a ticket.
It's different venues. I don't know if the district would be the right one for your situation, because you got to remember the district courts are quasi as well. They definitely have to show delegation of authority order, because those are also inferior courts. They're not the Supreme Court. So,
okay. Okay. Well, thank you. So should I go to district court before or no? Just go straight to the Supreme Court. What is it that you intend
to do? What's your intentions?
I had got a ticket, and I had sent it off the Supreme Court, and so about 3 months later, I would say, this judge, because I was traveling across country, and the judge from this little town wrote me personally and told me if I didn't get there by such and such a date that they was gonna put a warrant, and
pardon me. I don't know if that was you or me, but it just chopped out. But I heard you say if you didn't get there by such and such a date, that what?
Right. That she was going to put a warrant out for my arrest.
And that's a municipal judge?
Yes.
All right. So that's a bill of exchange or a bill of attainder. There's a lot of studying that goes with that, because that's threat. Personam jurisdiction, can only be obtained by a general appearance. So, again, there's ways to go about it, whereas, if you weren't going to do that, you could have used your work for your papers for special appearance. But there's other ways to fight that, because if the court never had jurisdiction, then the warrant is an illegal warrant, a void warrant, and definitely leaves a lane open for false imprisonment. So, or man-stealing, man-stealing / kidnapping. That's something else we need to go in on. But, yeah, seriously. Now, if they're doing that, and they're saying they're doing that in the name of the state, then they also have liabilities. That's just what it is.
Okay.
So, still, Supreme Court is the venue, and then also, I don't know if you have material like a Black's Law, Fourth Edition Dictionary. Do you have that?
Yes.
All right. So then you should definitely check out the definition of self-executing judgment. And, you do have the autonomy to, manifest your own judgments and whatnot based off of constitutional law.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I think that's all I have.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the call.
Okay. Thank you. Islam.
Islam. All right. Call 501-352. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maximum. Islam caller 501-352.
Oh, I apologize. I didn't press 1.
All righty, no problem. All right. Caller 803-290. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maximum. All right. We get caught up in some conversation. Caller 803-290. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maximum. Caller 803-290.
Same number. I think the 803 was the one you just tried to hit.
Sorry. Caller 803-305. You are live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maximum.
Islam family, this is Brother James Day at Northwest Maximum. How's the family?
All is well, man.
Great. I was calling, I was listening to the show tonight, and it was absolutely wonderful. During my past experiences, what I've seen as far as, with the study, generally there are a lot of things that are in place, and there are a lot of our family members that go through the same situations I've been through, situations they've been through, just like the sister that just came on the air was talking about the different tickets and different way to handle everything. There are a lot of ways, but a lot of us, I would say we learn by trial and error a lot of times, because we don't have, a lot of us, some of us, we don't study, and some of us, we studied our butts off. That's just how it goes. From what I've seen, there are windows that are in place, but if we're not trained to see those windows, we don't know how to operate, and we end up operating in dishonor because we actually don't utilize and study everything, like how you told the sister to actually get the Black's Law Dictionary, the fourth edition, and plus, generally we look at the U.S. and say, okay, they're a corporation, in which they are a corporation that's running their business, and you got to ask yourself, how do I fit in that? And if I'm not a part of that, then you have to recognize that you're not a part of it, and instead of just getting an attitude and say, you know what, I'm not a part of it, just show it in law and everything that you do. Like if you look on a U.S. passport, they would have strictly on that passport U.S. citizen or a national, American national. So it has a spot on there stating that you're a national, but most people they want to be a U.S. citizen so bad, and then they use that you being a U.S. citizen against you, knowing that you could never be a U.S. citizen, but because of your disobedience and our disobedience, things we might have done unknowingly in the past, that puts us right back in their venue to actually get charged with these tickets. Because if you were to, not saying do it, I would just suggest everybody who's listening, just study. Analyze even if you went to what we would call a local post office, and just ask for the application. Don't fill it out, but study it and look at it. It has all these things on there that separates you from them and them from you, but in their mind, if you're that stupid, and not saying nobody on the air, but if we don't know no better, you're just going to get stuck.
Yeah. You said it very well.
So correct. You're so correct, because a couple of years ago, I think I brought one of those applications for a passport to class, and we talked about it, along with some other things. And really, the first, I think they have like in a box on the front page, it demonstrates who this is for. And just that information in that box alone, if you really read it and pay attention to it, telling you it ain't for the nationals, it's not for the Moors.
Right.
But it's counting on you not studying and falling for it, thinking, oh yeah, I got to have a passport to get to travel when that's a violation of your right to travel. You're so correct.
So before I yield the floor, I would just say to the family, I have one of my brothers, one of our brothers, what they've done, he actually went and got the passport, but he was very particular how he filled it out, and it was done down to the T, and he got pulled over by the, quote-unquote cops or whatnot. So when they pulled him over, and he actually recorded the whole thing, and they asked him for a driver's license and these instruments, and the first thing he said was, I don't have a driver's license, but I do have the proper information that you need to see, which is evidence that there's no contract. So rather than getting the attitude with the lady that actually stopped him, he made it clear and simple. He told her that, okay, I'm not a sovereign citizen. So after he done that, and he showed the particular instrument that he had, and it had right on that instrument, Moorish American National, basically, that took him out of that particular jurisdiction where they had to actually let him go. And he was not there no more than probably 5 minutes, and she said, have a nice night, sir, and then that was that. But we just have to do better business and not give them their documents that are going to put you right back into bondage.
Mm-hmm.
That's beautiful. You're absolutely correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely correct. And you know what? What you just said, people may think that that's not doable or whatever like that, but if the advice that you're giving and the facts that you're saying about not giving them back their documents, that is very, very likely to happen at a higher rate very soon, like right now and more to come in the very near future. I mean, that's what's actually going down. So, and it doesn't mean that, because it's not about breaking the law, it's about enforcing the law when you do that.
So what you told I heard you said earlier about the debate, what took place about one of the brothers, well, both of the brothers. Actually, you went there. Some people went there, and you saw different people that were the same people, but they were claiming different things.
Yeah.
As far as one person would say, okay, I'm a Moor. Another person say I'm a Hebrew Israelite. But you look in the face and you saw that it was the same people. Now, whenever you hear Moorish American National basically acknowledges that, okay, there's not a place on the planet that we've not been. We basically, we're everywhere. So if we're everywhere, only people that would be everywhere, you don't have to basically get hit with a brick to know that the brick is right in front of you, So being that we're everywhere and we're national, you know who you are. They're respecting you for who you are, but they look at it in this aspect. They have to protect their assets, so to speak. If they have what they call human trafficking going on and chattel property and all this stuff, they're saying, you know what, we're going to do us, but if you going to fall for it, you're just going to fall for it. But we have to learn to exist. Like, believe it or not, all these peace treaties and, the Berber wars and all this stuff and the peace and friendship treaty and all this stuff, it's all in basically alliance and align, but we don't know how to exist, and not too many people are showing each other how to exist. So more of us will be damaged if nobody steps in and actually say, okay, this is how you do this. This is how you tie your shoes on this level. This is how you tie your shoes on that. And we have to be partakers of the whole thing so that way that particular number of people being damaged won't be hurt. And I just give the floor on that.
You're right. And I hear that, and we hear people have the same thing. Well, why don't you show me how to do it or whatever? But the truth of the matter is, you have to present yourself in the end. We have different, like we could write a writ for someone, but they can't stand on it. So,
right.
If they, right. You know what I mean? So what can you do for them that they need to do for themselves? Because if we're looking for the Savior, it is within. And so Like you said, there's no one saying do it this way, do it that way. And the only reason, brothers, the only reason that they may not be able to follow an instruction if you did give it to them is because they do not possess the knowledge that information is back from and comes from. Now, the simplicity of it exists, which is first know the law. It's not as complicated as this modern European has put before you, because that's not the law. It's very not, you know what I'm saying? So if they're not going to take the step to do that, which is why it was the very main thing, the very basic thing, enforce the law of the land, enforce the Constitution, start there, 7 Articles, 10 Bill of Rights, start there. They have to do that themselves in order to either receive the instruction that you did give to them. Now, we're sitting here trying to figure out strategies, which work, if you have a strategy, to effectuate that which we know is right and exact in the law.
Yeah,
instead of
right.
everybody breathing from the time they breathe, you know, or walk or present themselves or show somewhere, you know that light shines from them because they have that law within them, which makes it come without.
For sure.
Islam.
Islam. If I could add on.
All right.
He must have dropped out.
Did we lose him again? Oh, my God. I don't know what's going on. This is it? Yeah, yep, he sure did. I mean, is this like a black box day or Mercury and retro?
I can't get to the calendar quick enough.
Wow. All right, here he is. He's back. Islam, you there?
Islam, I'm here. I don't know what's going on with the electricity. I don't know what it is, but what I was going to say is, going back to the title of this broadcast today, as far as, you know, this is not a multiple choice type of thing, as far as what Noble Drew Ali was bringing back to us and just the laws of nature. What about this concept, you know, in chapter 3, where it was saying if man would find his savior, he must look within. His name is self, right? Now, I never took that as we cannot help each other. But for every situation, every problem that somebody else has, which, you know, we might have some knowledge to help, but it's not necessarily that somebody else is going to take all of your problems just because they know something. Like, they might be able to help you, right? But should somebody feel guilty if they can't take on everybody's problems? Because this, again, is not a pick and choose thing. If this man left us lessons, do we, like, forget that one of them was if you was going to be saved, you have to look within? How does that apply? Islam.
Hey, I think you said it. That's what we were just saying. If you're looking for your devil, it's within. If you're looking for your savior, it's within. Because there's no devil, it's just your love stuff. Very good. Excellent.
It's not right. All right, so caller, let's see, caller 803-305, was your question answered?
Yes, it was definitely answered. It just gets so good, you know, and I don't want to just take up all the time. Generally, I would just a suggestion to, you know, the ears that you know, when people get discouraged. I remember when I first started out and listening in every Tuesday, and a lot of times we feel like, okay, what's the next level? The next level, the reason why the prophet says study, 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 because the more you actually study, you're going to realize, like, he's not telling people, basically he's saying we are part and parcel of the said government, which means we have allegiance to ourselves, and they do their thing and we do our own thing, but we got to know how to operate whenever we're opposed by opposing forces or look like it's opposing forces. if they're opposing us, we already know exactly how it's going to come, how it's going to go if we're not all the way correct, which means we have to vibrate at a high rate, a high frequency to the point, no matter what they throw at you or throw at me or throw at us, we're covered, because you have some people saying, you know what, don't do this and don't do it. It just depends on where you are and what you're doing. Like if you're participating in, I would say, commerce, and you know that you're participating in commerce, then they may try to use that against you. Matter of fact, that most likely that's what they'll try to do. You have some people that are not studied. I would suggest the more that we study, if we're selling things and we have free reign to do what we want to do as long as they're not harming anybody, utilize everything. They're basically protecting all of their rights and taking all of yours. But don't get mad to the point you can become labeled quick, because that's what they want to do. They want you to, you know what, get frustrated and start doing all this stuff like bombing places like elsewhere. You know, that's not us. That's them. So just study and utilize all the information that's in front of you. And before we throw a rock at our brother, make sure our house is clean so that way even if they mess up, they will see their own mess. You turn the mirror and they can see the dirt that they're doing, and it's going to be basically is what it is. And I use the flow on that, family.
Wow.
Well, thank you so much for that. That was wonderful. Wonderful. And so thank you so much for that.
But
all right, we have caller 513981. I think this is Sister Jayana.
Yeah, it's me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear.
Hey, peace and love, everyone. Please send love, N.E., Miss, and Sister Rob.
Hello, Jayana.
Yeah, so I just wanted to call in and give some good energy to you guys, and just say thank you for continuing doing everything that you do for us. I love the caller that just hung up, everything he said. I wanted to piggyback off of what he said when he said that, excuse me, he said that, you know, a lot of times when we do things, it's like a trial and error. And I totally agree with him, because what Annie always say, we are like in catch-up mode. So when we enforce a lot of things or do a lot of things and simmer it out and whatever and go through our situations, it is sometimes maybe a trial and error. And that's okay, because the best thing about trial and error is you learn from it, and you always go back to your work. Like myself recently, I just went back to a lot of risks that I had put out last year and the year before that, and just saw the difference in my language and also in some errors that I saw within my own risks. And I'm like, you know, now with the knowledge that I acquired over the years, that I'm like, I can't believe I wrote so. But it was all still good, because, no, really, it was really still cool, because my spirit was always right. So I always kind of like slid through. But like if I'm looking at them and I'm like, they accepted. I can't believe I even won some of the stuff, because the risk was not like up to par. It was not. But my spirit was always there, and it was always in good. So always be what they say in good faith and in honor, in good honor. So, you know, but even if you do make some type of mistakes or something like that, your spirit is right, you're honoring your mothers and your fathers, and everything else is just go through for you. So it's okay to be the trial and error. It's okay, because as long as you learn from it and you look back and you correct your mistakes, it's all right. And then last he said about sometimes it's hard for a lot of people to come into the movement and just literally exist. He used that word exist within the corporation and within just everything, bringing everything in your head. And that is so true. But the best thing is when you think about that is the prophet said that I came here to teach you to be yourself. So that's the way you exist here, by being yourself, and also by studying everything the prophet had brought, and then that will really help a lot of people in the way to, quote unquote, exist within all of this that's going on. So that's all I wanted to say before I went to sleep, because I have to go to work in the morning. But
all right. Nice to
I
hear
love
from
you guys.
We love you. We
Peace
love
and
you
love.
too. We love
all
you
right,
too.
thank you.
We love you
you.
too. All right. Now, see, trial and error. She's absolutely right. But didn't we all do this through applying trial and error?
That's right.
We all applied the law. Like you used to say in the beginning, how your knees was knocking the first time and all of that, And it's through that you, like, I love what she said. She said, I went back and looked at some of my wrists and said, wow, how did I get through that? But it was the effort and the sincerity, and the ancestors walk with you when you walk on that path. That's it, and that's all.
Islam. I like to add on to that too, if I may. Now we know that Albert Einstein and all of that, like, they didn't create electricity. It existed before that. But the experiments that they were going through with the light bulb, one thing about it that stuck out to me was they thought he was insane because he tried it like 3,000 times allegedly, or something like that. And they said, well, when do you give up? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's an impossibility. He was like, well, I didn't fail 3,000 times. I just figured out 3,000 ways this is not going to work. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, that, if you really could grasp that statement, from it not working 3,000 times or something of that nature, he said those was just 3,000 ways I realized it's not going to work. But it was still a certain vision as far as the story goes, whether he discovered electricity or not. I'm not talking that. I'm talking the storyline, like, of saying something like that. That was brilliant, I say. You know what I mean? So, yeah. Just because you fail doesn't mean it can't work. You just might realize ways things are not going to work.
Islam. All right. Well, that, I believe that was our last caller, unless somebody has a question or a comment or a concern. And we got like, about 30, no, I'm sorry. We got about an hour left. Oh, wait a minute. I got another caller. Caller 214-565. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Islam family, once again, this is Abdul Malik Shakur Shabur Bay, calling from Northwest Maxim in the Texas Republic Territory. It is indeed a pleasure to listen to a great broadcast of the astute teachers that teaching us to help lift ourselves up and study so we can show ourselves approved and go forth in the world and help uplift the fallen humanity, our brothers and our sisters, and humanity as a whole. It is once again a pleasure, and everything that y'all discuss tonight and stating it is so clear cut, and it's absolutely legal and legalese and true. You must know not only copy risks off all the publication of whatever outlet that you're searching for that. You must know exactly what the word is and the meaning of the word. As the four legalese of understanding, transition of word is who, what, when, and how. Once you understand that and participate and break those down to category, you just don't use words as a customary use, but they all have the etymology meaning to it. And in legalese, that it stands for and be astute in what you do, because these people ain't playing with. They're going to see if you know what you're talking about, or did you go on the internet, blase, so forth, whatever, that you done copied these letters, and they will find out if you true to what you're saying. Is it coming from is. Anybody can transcribe, transcript, and write something, but is it coming from you, from inner you, and that you're stating the truth that not only the people will hear you, but they will get in contact with nature and nature law and the universe. Mother knows best. I hear the flow. Islam, family.
Islam.
No.
All right. All right. Our next caller is caller 804-921. You are live on the air. Yeah. Please state your affiliation at Northwest Maxim.
Islam family, this is Azad Afron Bay.
Islam.
Yeah, calling from Sakahana, if I'm saying that right. the corporation near the corporation of Richmond, Virginia.
I'm sitting here as soon as you said that. I'm like, man, yeah, that's right. What's going on, brother? How are you?
Everything. I was looking at that debate earlier, that one that you all were talking about, and it was kind of funny because I posted something on his rebuttal to the video where he wanted to speak on the Dr. Reggie or whatever you want to call himself. What I basically said is that he's if he's been a promoter, and what he basically did is he went in on his crowd or his customers because I guess they paid to get in. I don't know. But I've never seen a promoter to do what he did, and that was really unprofessional of him. So I don't, like I say, he just lost a lot of cool points. But my question, I sent my approximation today, and I was going over the paperwork, and I just wanted to make sure because it said to put your thumbprint, and I didn't know until after I read, because when I first read from the website, I didn't see that you had to put your thumbprint. So is it a problem?
Not on the proclamation. You're confusing proclamation with
Wait a minute.
national identification card.
Wait a minute. What website did you see that you have to put your thumbprint?
On the proclamation.
I have it right here. It says how to proclaim your nationality, and I got this this was a PDF, and it has the where to send the stuff to, and then has put your fingerprint and your full name and your Moorish signature in red ink.
Where is it? What mailing location are they telling you to send that to?
To Connecticut.
But it doesn't say put your thumbprint there, so I don't know where did you get that from?
This is the top paper. I mean, it's okay. Like I said, I mailed it off, and
no, it's not okay. We need to know. We need to know, brother, because see on the RV Bay publication site on the National Identification Card page at Section 13 are directions for the proclamation. On that same page, the whole page is about obtaining a national identification card, proclaiming your nationality in terms of publishing it via the name correction and the judicial notice and proclamation, and also it's about getting identification cards. On the application for the identification card, it asks for a thumbprint, but that has nothing to do with the proclamation's instructions. So that's why we're asking you. It doesn't reread that. It doesn't say to put a thumbprint for proclamation. It says put a thumbprint for your card because we get it into.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was asking because as I'm reading the paper, I just want to make sure because I got my nationality card and my right to travel card, and it was asking me, or it was said to send a copy of that as well. Because this is going to another location from when I first got the identity cards.
Another location?
Well, when I first got the initial, I don't remember sending anything off to Connecticut. I know I emailed some stuff, but it's been a while.
Okay. How long ago did you get your cards? I know it. I think. How long ago did you get your cards? How many years ago?
This was last year. So I received them probably maybe right after my right in February.
All right, well, we're still trying to make sure that we make it clear that nowhere on the site does the proclamation request your thumbprint.
I think what's going on because it's this whole thing is about declaring your nationality, and I just wanted to be clear to know if I didn't have to put my thumbprint because I know I had to put my thumbprint on the initial application for the ID.
Okay, let me just say this. If someone does not want to use their thumbprint even on the national identification card, a lot of things I don't put on there because we just try to be brief and not give out all of the information. But if they email us, we'll answer whatever question. If you do not choose to use a thumbprint, we still will give the card. It's just that in that space where the thumbprint would go, we usually put one of the international maxims of everyone has a right to a nationality, or for a child, we'll put the child's one there, Principle 3, and for an adult, we'll use out of the Declarations of Human Rights. Although that's an affirmation, we'll fill that spot with that statement. You don't have to utilize your thumbprint. It's just that a thumbprint is the highest seal, quite frankly, because it's from you. It's authentic. It's the highest authentication. That's what it is.
That's still coming from that ecclesiastic?
No, it's not coming necessarily from ecclesiastics. It's just that's what it is. Is that the thumbprint is? That means it's a real flesh and blood live person that is actually engineering the document itself.
Okay.
Or autograph.
And I got the other question. It was roaming around in my head when you were talking. I was making sure I was listening to what you were saying. I lost it. I did. I lost it. I was listening, and I wanted to ask another question, and I just lost it.
About what we were talking about the debate?
It was about what we were talking about. Yeah, it was about what we were talking about. It was, I don't know how I lost it.
It happens. I got to take some ginkgo biloba so I can stay on track. I'm telling you, I'm going to start taking some. You forget the smallest little things that you always remember. And no, it's not getting old.
I got it.
All right.
I got it. Where it says, like I said, I don't know any other Moors in this area, and I know that we have to put our signature, and then it says the witnesses. Like I said, didn't have any.
Yeah, well, we witness at the ceiling, so if you don't have it, you don't have to worry about it. Just do your part, and we'll witness at the ceiling. Okay.
Yeah, that was my other question. Actually, it was going in my mind as you were talking. I said, well, hold on, let me slow down so I can listen.
All right.
Yeah, but back to that debate. That was a hurting. That was a real hurting, and I think that the promoter that I said leave his name nameless. He's a very unprofessional gentleman. I'm gonna call him a gentleman. Very unprofessional. And that's my opinion of it.
Well, you know what? I understand what you're saying, but it's interesting. And so in his not in his defense, that's definitely not that. But I think this is just my opinion, and that's only because I saw a video that he did prior to this debate happening, but it was right before this debate happened, where he declared that he now has to be, as a journalist would be, as you're saying, as a promoter would be, neutral and not take sides. However, he's still about, he's about the movement of Black Power himself personally. So I guess he could find it hard to do that, which it shouldn't be if you actually are a journalist. But he did mention that, and then at the same time, he has his own personal preferences as well, and thoughts and ideas. So what you may have seen is the difficulty he may have had in keeping himself at a neutral place. But the way I also look at it is not about him personally, but this is the way I see it, that anybody who is conscious today, who goes on a rampage on a mission of being truly, truly one-sided in dividing the family, right? Because we as Moors, we can talk to all of those phases that they think, that others think they're in, and show them where we're one. You understand what I'm saying? Whereas if you're in something where you cannot do that and it truly embrace the unity, well, you're going to have a difficult time today. So I would say that, that this debate is a good thing in one way. In one way, it's a good thing because, it just exposed everything and everybody, because that's what it is. It's like, okay, bring it. Bring what you have. And so the whole thing, like we said before, you talk about nationality. We're not talking about, you decided to go into a mission or whatever that says brown power or purple power or black power. You've got to look at it from that reality. That's what you're doing up against the fact that the discussion is about nationality. You know how simple that sounds as I'm saying it, right? You can understand that very clearly, right? So, it's not even complicated. So when you can't understand that very clearly, so the brother he did say that he was being neutral, but you got to give him props on the fact that he did say that, and it was powerful what he said, and that he knows that he may even lose some associates or friendships or whatever as a result of doing this whole thing. So I see him as going through some possibly. I don't know what he's going through because I haven't, asked him. I don't know him like that, but I see it as him going through something himself. And even if the only thing he's going through is the fact that he must, in being professional, you must keep a neutral position if you're going to call yourself a journalist, a reporter, or whatever. That might be the only thing he's doing it. He may still be about black power. And that's fine, because if I joined a group called Purple Power, I'd still be about purple power. But it ain't got jack to do with my nationality. So I give the floor. I'm done with it.
But you know what? I think it was good because people got exposed to a lot of information. Well, everybody could always say somebody could have did better, but at least they got the chance to see what the brethren was presenting, and that with the other dude who was saying he's not a Moor, really didn't have any substantive points to even be debating. It's like, in law, when somebody makes the accusation against you and it's groundless, it's called common barratry. It's basically what he was doing, but just in another fashion. Whereas, the whole point of his side of argument was irrelevant. It was groundless from the beginning. And from what the topics were, I think that anybody who looks at that with a reasoning and unbiased mind would see that he never had any points to try to articulate to debunk the fact that we are Moors, or not. You know what I mean? And again, I just say, also, you got to give Cujo and the brother Rami Salam Il their props too, even though they did it on the digital wave with the YouTube, or re-emphasized a lot of what they exposed about themselves, not really having a point as far as this brother. So, yeah, I just think that if anybody thought they was black and showed up to the debate to see it be proven, that they saw that, that's not true. So. And
one more thing, as a promoter, when you put it into the framework of a promoter, really, if you're promoting that we are black, you're not going to find. I mean, if this is the best you can find, in the so-called black conscious community, if that's the best that you can find, then you really need to get off that boat, because that was whack. Because as Ms. just said, that was whack if that's the best you're going to find to promote, because it's not promotable. It's not debatable that we are Moors. Now, if you want to debate about something else, I don't know. But as far as, if that's the best that's going to come out of the black conscious community, because, see, now, if there really are true scholars in that field, and there have been before these people, all of them admit that we're Moors. They even said, well, historically we're Moors. Well, what is the debate then? What is the problem with that? What is the point? You know what I'm saying? So I say that if that's the best you're going to bring forth, then, you need to cut that. The whole thing needs to just end and just admit that I'm in a association that likes to go around saying purple power or black power, because that's all that you're saying, because it has nothing to do with nationality. Again, I'm reiterating that, but I'm saying that also to say that, again, if there were really conscious people in the so-called black consciousness, whatever that means, then they are scholars, hopefully. And if they are scholars, there's no way that they can say that we're not Moors. There's no way they can say that we're not Moors if they're truly studied scholars. You see? So the only thing that can be saying is we just want to say this because it makes us feel good. That's all they can say.
Mm. And you know what? All due respect to all platforms that are trying to get information out, but one thing I wanted to point out is it's not enough pictures in the world that alone that we could take that are going to save us. Like, getting together to take pictures is not our salvation. You know what I mean? It's just not, because
that's a side of the argument too. Yep.
Yeah, that was another thing about it. And I'm like, because it was almost a little scuffle at the end or whatnot. I don't know if that was theatrics or what, but what I'm saying is that we could all get together and take a picture. That is a great memory, you know what I mean? A lot of people could appreciate that. But that is just a fleeting moment. What about after that? Where's the unity after the picture moment? You know what I'm saying? So pictures mean a lot, don't get me wrong, but I don't think the salvation is in that. There's nothing wrong with it, but, think about how many pictures you have, and you ask yourself, where are they now? You know what I mean? And why?
Yeah.
So, yeah, real talk.
Yeah,
so
I think like you were saying about, Brother Cujo, the video, he has opened a lot of eyes, especially a lot of times where I see them do a lot of debates, and I think they did a debate with a Jewish brother or a Hebrew brother. I think it was a Jewish brother, and I think it was exposed because they got a Caucasian to come in, and they were saying bow down, and they want all these people to bow down to them, yeah. and a lot of this stuff is set up, and it's like, what is it that you all are doing? I mean, like, the audience that you all are showing, you all are just putting out fake stuff.
I saw that, man. That was, I saw that bow down to, that was like, like maybe one day in the sojourn and development, just as the sister came on and said, look, I looked at this and now I'm looking again and how much better we get as we do what we do. They'll go back to that tape and they should be absolutely embarrassed by it because it was horrifying. I saw that. You saw that one too, right, man?
Yeah, I saw that picture. It looked kind of weird, you know what I'm saying? But I get the intention. I guess it was revenge.
That wasn't a picture.
You know what
it was
I'm saying?
A video. It was a video on YouTube where they were actually telling the European so-called Jew, whatever he said he was, and they were telling them to bow down to him. It was like really disgraceful. To me, my opinion, it was most.
I can't say. Yeah, I feel you on that. Well, the nature of Moors is territorial. You catch Moors on an angry day, they might. I don't know, man. I can't. You know what I mean? They might just be mad. They just got messed with a European, and you just walk through the block without acknowledging. I don't know what inspired that. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm not saying it didn't look weird or whatever. I'm just saying I get the essence of what they were trying to do as far as making a European bow down in acknowledgement. I get that, but I'm not saying it's right or wrong. So I don't have no judgment on that. I think it looked weird, you know, when you put words to it and imagination true. But I'm just saying, I know what they were saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the brother Moore, he put out, you know, when the other guy with the weaved up ponytail, you know, I don't know what that is on unicorn or whatever, but I don't know. But
he said it himself. You know what? He said that, which is one of the things that really made him look idiotic when he said, I don't know, Moors, y'all got to wear the fake tassel. Then he said, see my braid right here? This is real. Well, part of this is fake. I'm like, this guy must really be, like, really, like, dent somewhere. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, with when he was exchanging back and forth with the Moor on the stage, you know, he's basically, you know, the stuff that he was saying, and then another brother asked a question, you know, and he said, well, you know, what about these colors, you know, and like I said, I need to myself get more into that, you know, but when he was saying or asking about the colors, you know, he just basically said, you know, what was the brother that they were talking about from Egypt, Rob, the brother that I guess he takes on the form of a bird, and he changes colors.
Boy, I don't know what you no.
So anyway, he was asking about the colors, and he said, well, one day he's black, and one day he's green, and you know he changes his colors, you know, and the brother was saying that that's what the, you know, like the Dr. Ben said, you know, that, you know, or another brother, that both of them were saying that, you know, black is a color, you know, it describes, but it doesn't tell you who you are, you know, so right. They're the same thing, you know, with that whole thing, like, you know, they say, well, I'm black, you know, I look at my skin, I'm a dark brown, you know, but I don't walk around calling myself dark brown.
Right.
Exactly.
Right. Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So that thing, like I said, is that when he made that analysis, you know, and what he did ask Dr. Reggie. He said, "What is your plan?" He said, because I mean, right now, he said we have a plan. You know, I see everything written out. You know, when I get certain things, I go over and I read it. I see it written out. I don't see anything that this guy has actually put out to say, okay, this is what I'm gonna do to liberate our people. You know, and they're further and further putting us in the hole. Basically calling us, what is it, civil mortis? Civil mortis?
You know what, though? Yeah, that's true. I personally, I think both of their plans could have been better. That's not me being biased. I'm just saying, because we always could plan better. And I think this is why, you know, certain opportunities to brainstorm together are necessary. I personally think they are necessary because somebody might have something to add on to that, you know what I'm saying? Or in a more autonomous fashion. Like, you know, the brother Sharif had great ideas, but I think that they could be tweaked to a more autonomous function. Whereas, you know, we are those on the political level, people that are upright, independent, and fearless that, you know, the Prophet was talking about. So we don't really have to look at the Europeans and what they're doing in their system and things of that nature. And to mix, though, you know, we have to have certain respect and relations in international law. But I think we need to be leaning more towards our autonomy, our independent status as a nation, not as an individual alone. I'm talking about independence. And when I say that, I mean, you know, everybody out there claiming that they're Negro, black, colored, whatever. You know what I mean? The European, for the most part, is trying to get in your pockets for everything you do. So as a nation, as a nationality, these things are already being laid out. They're already laid out. We need to be looking at that. Whereas we realize it is a self-evident truth that there's a difference between Moors' political jurisdiction and these Europeans' modern political jurisdiction, though the history is interrelated on many levels. You know what I mean? And while we supersede any of their institutions, definitely goes to the galactic ramifications. And the Brethren Cujo was speaking about that earlier. So I don't think that we have to necessarily look to these Europeans for anything really, except for to study and learn what happened, what they did, and how they did it. You know what I mean? And that's more important, I think. But I think that his plan was better than the dude who was claiming that he was black and had a black city sovereignty plan. When this is about nationality, and nationality, you're talking nation, continental. So you look at different branches with national domicile, that trumps a black city sovereignty plan any day of the week as far as a broad scope of political jurisdiction and civil status, opposed to a circumscribed area. Because it's like, you could buy milk or you could have the whole cow. It's just like that. You know what I'm saying? It's just like that. So basically they like, let's buy milk. And then there's nationals in the national mind state like saying, look at how many cows we got. Not to promote the eating of flesh, you know what I'm saying? But it's a difference in perspective is what I'm trying to get at. So, yeah, we need to, nothing is excluded, but national domicile, national home is way broader than any city. And you know what? It pissed me off sometimes because people act like because they're from a certain city that makes them better than anybody else. Like, no, cut it out. Yeah, our experiences may be different, whether you're from, a so-called city, or concrete jungle, opposed to those who may be out in the natural environment more or less. There's things that everybody can learn from each other, and I think the Most High, I've had experience in both environments. So a specific city is cool for like a home base, but recognizing that the whole continent is our home base, we brought in our scope on so many different levels as far as economics, as far as, civil status, rights of entry, things of this nature. So nationality nationalization will trump a city plan any day of the week. I'm going to say this, and then I'm going to yield the floor. My fault, I didn't mean to go long-winded. But a couple of years ago, I think it was 2012, the U.S. government closed for like a day. Was it a day or two? Y'all remember that? Or National Park? Okay, that's a sign that that's a corporation first and foremost. That has nothing to do with the land. So U.S. fiat economy stopped. You know what I mean? The land was still here. Everything was still there, but it was just certain employees that basically, if you will, since they couldn't work that day, it was something kind of relative to a strike or something like that. I don't know what it was, but the people
they ran
didn't
out of
stop.
money.
You feel what I'm saying? So if it could stop for a day, you know what I'm saying? That means that it could perpetually stop. What would you do? Can't get your WIC, can't do any of that. You can't, the EBT cards, none of that. So what I'm saying is, when we look at, well, okay, if they close down tomorrow, what is our plan? Are we not going to go visit? Because remember, they closed national parks. Are we going to say we can't visit certain parts of our ancestral estate because the U.S. government closed down for the day? But correlating that and translating that on even to a smaller scale, since they was talking about city sovereignty, et cetera, out here or near so-called Atlantic City, they're going through beefs right now, and Atlantic City is about to be shut down or bankrupt. This is in the mix right now for a quote-unquote state takeover, which is quasi-national. So now this so-called city is going to be controlled by the quote-unquote state government, which is really not. It's a corporate quasi-national domicile. So my thing is, they're already going through House of Cards. One card been pulled already. So their thing is crumbling. Where are we going to be at? Are we still going to be trying to fit in when these certain cities close down? You know what I'm saying? Where's the city sovereignty at when the city incorporated, right, meaning it's a corporation, is going out of business? There's no planning with them. They're done. You know what I'm saying? It's over. New store coming in. So what's that about? Where do we stand when the business owners evacuate the building and abandon the building? We still trying to build with them, or we going to take over the building, the abandoned building, which was already on your ancestral estate? I'm just saying. Everything, and I say this, my fault, and I don't want to think out loud, but I'm just saying, if Moors are really about taking anything over, there's so many places where so many buildings are closing down right now that are just abandoned. You know what I mean? And they're going through dumb fights like, oh, certain things can't be here because we got this deed saying that only this could be built in this perimeter. And I'm like, well, this all goes back to the ancestral state of the Moors. People saying we need schools. It's buildings bigger than any one instructor can handle right now that are just abandoned and deadlocked all over the planet, even on the island that they call Atlantic City. 5 casinos closed. I'm looking like they're disputing over deeds, and Europeans saying they got this deed and schools can't be built. The only people who could really claim it is Moors. But what? You got buildings that are 70 floors. Who could take all of that over? Except a nation on a national mission. Pardon me. I'm not, you know what I'm saying? But I'm just saying.
Yeah. No, you're right.
There's so much national work to do that supersedes any infusion with a corporate municipality. We can move without them. You know what I mean? I'm telling you. I know this for a fact. So, y'all know, I know, we know. But for sure, man, national domicile any day of the week trumps any one particular city sovereignty plan. Because you can't talk city and sovereignty. They don't even mix. They don't even correlate. But with that being said, Islam, I know we got a few minutes left. I just wanted to add that on this time.
Yeah, I wanted to add if I can. Like I said, it was a personal story that kind of happened to me, but I wanted to add on to what you were saying as far as in the sovereignty thing. I know a couple of months ago they had someone who was supposed to be a lawyer that came on, and they were talking about this whole sovereignty movement, and now all of a sudden he's talking about it's just that's idiotic to me. You know what I mean? But what happened with me is I was riding my bicycle. You know, I was going to the store for my wife, and I got pulled over on my bicycle. You know, it was nighttime, and you know, I'm like, what? You know, as I'm riding, you know, the cops, you know, they pull up, and you know, it was odd to me because I never got pulled over on a bicycle before, and you know, I didn't stop in time enough for him, so one of them acted like they wanted to, you know, he swung the door and act like he wanted to hit me with the car, you know. So as soon as he got there, he grabbed me and put me in handcuffs. I'm like, what are you doing? You know, he was like, well, you didn't stop when we asked you to stop. You know, I was like, well, what is your probable cause on hindering me? He told me, he said, that doesn't exist. I was like, oh, okay. So one of the things that happened with me, because I haven't been in this confrontation, whereas he asked me for my Social Security number. So immediately, my mind did not take me to do the things that I needed to do. You know, so what I did is I end up, and I was mad at myself because I ended up folding, you know, and giving them my Social Security number. And they called myself in. So as I was asking them, I said, I was asking for their information, and they had already called my stuff in. And so something had happened to me where it was illegal. Now that I know, like I go back on it, like I ended up getting a concealed weapons charge, which was my own gun, back about maybe 10 years ago. And when they called it in, I can hear all these numbers popping up, and then they said, well, suspect maybe be armed. you know, and I'm like, wow, you know, and this is a misdemeanor, you know, that's on my record, with my own gun. They end up taking it from me. But now I know that I can go back and ask for subject matter and all these different type of things. But what ended up happening, like I said, just to make the story short, is that me asking them all these questions, they already had me, they had already kidnapped me, you know, and me asking these questions, everything they did was so unlawful. What they did is they said, well, we got one of these sovereign citizens. I said, I'm not a sovereign citizen. I'm a Moorish national American. And, you know, after they called everything in, they end up, you know, taking me out of handcuffs, and I'm asking them what was their probable cause and, you know, all the information, and they was totally ignoring me, like as if I wasn't saying anything. And I know that
they need to be sued. Go ahead.
They need to be sued. I know that, and it's just frustrating because if I did, like I said, I got mad at myself because I know that as they were talking to me and they realized a number or something came across the screen, and they were saying, you need to go to DMV and get you an ID. And I said, well, I won't be contracting with DMV. And then he kind of gave me this crazy look because he knew I knew what I was talking about. And like I said, it took me out of handcuffs. But like I said, that was kidnapping at the like I said, I was mad at myself. I really was.
That's all right. You do what you know. You do the different thing the next time it happens. They catch you. See, that's what I say. Like, you know, we can't have the free enjoyment of our life and the liberty because we always got to be on the beam against a vampire that's trying to suck your blood. I mean, it's just the reality. Sometimes you may wake up and you just want to just take a walk. You know, you don't want, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to use the term, your guards are down because you're just free. But that's when they come, you know, and they do what they always do. That's all they're seeking for. They're stalking for it, you know.
You know what? It's like, I'm listening to you because I'm still pissed off behind it. I asked them what was the reason that they stopped me. They told me because I didn't have my light on my bike. And I said, well, let me rectify this problem. While they had me in handcuffs, I cut the light on. And the one, they was on both sides of me, so that's intimidation. You know, the other one, as I was talking to the one on my left side, the one on my right side cut the light back off. And then I realized, and I looked at it.
Yeah. Use that. That's why I'm saying this is not what you're sharing with the family now is the importance of us to really recognizing that they make up these statutes that they call law that are not law for the purpose of having a reason to infiltrate into your life. A light on a bike. Where the hell that comes from? Bikes, what is that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's not a crime, but they tell you that it is. And brother, how many people out there that don't know the difference and think that it is and go pay, you know, attention to the fact that, oh, man, I made a crime. And pretty soon they'll be calling you not having a light on your bike a crime and calling you a criminal.
Well, what needs to happen is this is an opportunity, and I think what the universe is doing right now with many of us is it's putting us in situations where we have to put these suits in.
Yeah.
Because our liberties are constantly being violated. And, you know, and I've said it before, we're real good at writing writs, but closing the writs we fall down on because most of our writs, they say, look, if you keep on violating my liberties, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. Well, we never get to the X, Y, Z portion. A lot of times we'll send these writs in and they're so tight that what happens is like it'll get dismissed or, you know, there's some sort of releasing, but we never go back and deal with the issue at hand, which is the violation of the liberty. So I think what's happening now is that the universe is just putting us in situations where we just got to deal with it. And if we don't deal with it, we'll continually be revisited with these same issues of, you know, these liberties that are constitutionally secured. being violated on a regular basis. I mean, he said we'd be forced to make change, and here it is, dropped right in our lap. So I thank you so much for your call, and I just want to take this next call. We got a couple more calls, and we got like 10 minutes left. But I thank you so much for your call. All right, caller 585-410. You're live on the air. Please state your appellation at Northwest Maxim.
Hello, this is Naeem Azrael. So glad I got in. I'm just sitting here waiting like, woohoo. No, I just got thrown off by what Ms. Rahim was saying about, like, if things shut down. Like, I had all this stuff to say, like, if stuff shut down, what are you going to do? That's really, I really need to think about that. That threw me off right there. Because, yeah, it's like, what? I have a daughter to worry about besides myself, and that is really pretty deep. That's just one question, and that's pretty deep. And I don't have, what do you call, card, all that, but just what am I going to do? What would I do? I would have to think about that one. And, no, I was just, the sister that was talking about intent, and that's very important because I know as of yet I haven't had to write writs or go to court and all that, but I'm pretty sure the universe shows me on a daily that it's looking out for me. So I know intent is pretty important because, everything might not be grammatically correct or whatever, but my stuff would trump theirs. That's just the confidence I would go into it with it. And a lot of the stuff was just online, all that debating. I never really got off into that, but I'm seeing, like, I do know it's like the age of Aquarius because so much time is flying by. I swear the past 2 years have flown by. It's ridiculous. And over those years, I mean, I don't know how many people, but I am a pretty big YouTuber. So over the years, I've seen pretty much that black, whatever, conscious community is imploding. It's going, you can see, I mean, there was like, it's because the stuff is coming to the light, all that dirty crap that they're doing. There's a lot of them that that 2 years ago I used to see all the time, don't see them anymore for whatever reason. They're fading away or they're turning on each other, whatever, all that infighting and crap going on. And then there are those few that are left that refuse, so they're just trying to be louder and act out more. But, just like everything else, their days are numbered too. So, I just try not to put energy to that because you feed it, it's never going to go. I don't even watch all that crap anymore. But, wow, I don't know. A lot of this stuff on here is nationality, civics, and you would think, well, okay, whatever. But I watch this or listen to and come to school it helps to fill up my divine cup. It really does. So I want to thank you guys. You're going to see I always get all emotional, but I want to thank you guys for being so consistent and true because you guys have not changed from the first class that I've watched, or attended, school that I've, attended. You have not changed a word. It's always been the same, and I appreciate that because so many other people out there are so full of shit. They'll start one way, and just like I said, how they're falling apart. They may have been, there were some that were on the Noble Drew Ali teachings and all that, but somewhere along the line, they got twisted. How? I don't know, and that's not even my concern.
By the twisters,
they allow people to twist them for whatever reason, but I don't even understand how people could think when you know that this crap is when you know your history and you see the flaming ship going down and you would choose that ship, it's like, what the hell's wrong with you? Are you kidding me? I don't even get it, but those people are those people because I do understand that not everybody is going to get it this time around, or or not everybody's
Well,
going to wake up.
What
Some
the
people.
scripture says. What does the scripture say? Ancient scriptures, it says, and they use the term devil, which means lower self-activity. It says the devil's going to the pit and want to take as many people with him as he can. So there they are going down with them. And you said you see it's going down.
Oh, yeah. It's going down. And people are just still trying to abort it. I don't get it's like, you got to be kidding me. But what gets me, though, is I look at work, and, I mean, there's a huge amount of Moors at my job now. I mean, I don't know what happened. But I walk around with my backpack with all this stuff written on, RV Bay publications. I have a red backpack that I just, because I'm an artist at heart. But I got all the stuff, the eye on there, just different things at work, the flag, the Moorish flag. I got the 3 flags on my desk, all the stuff about I'm a Moor, I'm a free white. Nobody asked me anything. I'm turbaned up, whatever. They never ask me, but because I know in a corporate situation, I don't approach them because I don't want anybody to try to build anything. Well, she's at work trying to, If anybody would ever ask me, man, I would let them have it, but they don't ask me jack. That tells me sometimes they don't even look. They try not to see me. How they would walk into a wall trying to look somewhere else to pretend. And this is my own. These are my Moors, and they would, whereas a European will say hi to you in a heartbeat. Hey, how you doing? But my own people pretend like I'm not there. That is so sad. That is so sad. But that's just so we live in. But anyways, but thank you guys so much for
thank you for your sincerity, your emotions, your compassion.
Yeah, I get too passionate about it because I'm so full with this.
We thank you, but the universe thanks you even more.
Yeah, I love the universe. Yes. I talk every day. I don't have to wait for a moon or something every day because I know there's situations and different times that I should have got God or driving. Something should have hit me, but it didn't. And people think, yeah, whatever. No, I know. So I just try to keep right, be right, and do everything with good intent, and it's all going to come back at you in a good way.
Yeah.
But anyways, thank you guys so much.
Islam. You know what?
Love
before
you guys.
we go, I just want to share a thought. Islam, we love you too. But I just want to share a thought because when the sister said her own people don't ask her about that, it reminded me we was talking about this the other day, and this is what reflects on my mind, and I just want to say this and yield the floor. You have a certain light. Some people are analogous to being like clouds. You know what I mean? When you have a certain light, they might try to block out that light. And this is the same thing that happened to Brother Il Malik Shabazz, otherwise known as Malcolm X and whatnot. But when they knew he had this certain light, the word was put out to disassociate from him. You know what I'm saying? And that energy, the root of that energy, people try to block you out because you just have a certain light, and they might be too dismal or whatever it is to receive it. I just wanted to add that on in closing. Islam.
Hey, and I shared his birthday too, May 19th. Yeah, we have the same birthday. That's pretty cool. But anyways, thank you guys so much. I remember that. I ain't going to let them dim my light because, that's their stuff. But I just think it's funny that people just don't see. And anyways, love you and good night.
All right.
Islam.
All right. Well, we have run out of time. We got like 2 minutes left. Make sure and check us out tomorrow. We will physically be at the National Theater near Harlem. Doors open at 6. Class begins at 7:30. we shall see you there, and then next week, Tuesday, we'll be back here for another installment of
Hold on. Abdullah and Talib Mosey Bay will be doing the class tomorrow, just so people know. And then the following Wednesday, the 20th, Ms. Rain will be doing a presentation.
All right.
So we'll be tomorrow with Abdullah. Peace.
Yeah. All right. Peace and love to all.
Our problem is lack of knowledge and the intended deceit and trickery done, because even those who read the bibliotelicet that you call the Bible says he shall fool even the most believe. So even those who think they're highly educated and this and that, they've been fooled. That's it. It's not really complicated.
It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows it, to those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh. It's the miseducation of the Negro. Everybody knows except those who need to know. It's the miseducation of the Negro. When we rise from the dead, they call us Pharaoh.
The gods are back, the Moors are strapped. We waking up, and we want our land back. Running off, that's the trap. You know them gods don't lie.
Get a whole lot more for a whole lot less at Burger King. Introducing our new 5 for $4 deal. Just $4 gets you a flame-grilled bacon cheeseburger, 4 tender and crispy chicken nuggets, small golden french fries, a small drink, and a cookie. That's just $4 for more flamey, more meaty, more cheesy, more crispy.